If somebody wants to be an environmental lawyer, what would you say? Let's say somebody is a law student or a young graduate working somewhere else also. So there is a traditional education they anyway get, whatever that there is a standard way you get educated now. But if I want to be an environmental lawyer, so what are the things, like tell me 5 things I should focus on, that I should learn extra.
One is to write articles. Very easy. And you start on anything, whatever interests you. Tiger, electric vehicles. One part of UPSC was that we used to write a lot. Because you are doing an examination of 2300 marks. So you are not only writing what is needed. You read everything. I still read 7 newspapers every morning.
Wow.
Physically. All of them. And she knows, and all my office knows that I'll send all these screenshots of newspapers around 10 o'clock. So I read newspaper. Once you read, you start writing. So I write a lot. I reviewed the book of, and I'm saying this because there is no ABCD, but I'll come to that. So Rude Life is one of the finest autobiographies by Veer Sanghvi. Now Veer Sanghvi was the editor-in-chief of Hindustan Times, one of the finest writer. I reviewed his book for Hindustan Times. He asked me to review his book. So as a lawyer, you tell me who is not doing something extra and surviving in law. Soli used to play his violin. Parag Tripathi is known for his coins and his other bigger interest which he does on literature and Urdu. So you have to find that thing. So as an environmental lawyer, you have to do writing. The second thing you can do, if you are and this is very out of box, I wish I could have done. You should, if you love photography, you can be a great environmental lawyer.
Evidence.
Yeah, because then you will get photographs and they will be published here and there. You will be a great environmental lawyer. Third and most importantly, read all those websites which has anything to do with environment. So typically WWF website is very good. MOEF has a very good website, and Delhi Pollution Control Board has a website. And most importantly, pick a newspaper. Every day there will be 5 articles on environment. Pick your issue, whether Yamuna bothers you, Delhi air bothers you, tiger bothers you, forest bothers you, sewage bothers you, e-waste bothers you. Make it your movement. Then you have that aura which Ramdev ji has. Then you create that aura and then come to the Maidan. So environment will expect you to become, as you said earlier, it's more a passion. And so first you find your passion. Then the subject will appear automatically in front of you. Sounds little bit like Nirmal Baba, but unfortunately this is the way it is.
Okay.
Second thing is, I would say that it's very, very important for you to travel to the National Park Wildlife Sanctuaries. Okay. That you do. And if you're a law student, you must do few internship under wildlife or environmental NGOs. One of the credible NGOs, I will say Center for Science Environment, or even Wildlife Protection Society of India. They'll be happy to take you. Or MC Mehta's Foundation. So you can take these things. If you can afford, try to do an international internship in a big environmental law team in Dubai, Singapore. Singapore has amazing environmental lawyers. Now, Singapore is a city-state, but they have big environmental law team because they have best regulatory regime, and that's what India is trying to do. So a lot of work is there. So you can try an international thing. Then, if possible, you can also work as a attachment to any of the regional NGTs. Or also work with the principal bench of NGT. Try to get an internship in Indian Institute of Forest Management, Wildlife Institute of India, Forest Survey of India. So the matter which we were doing together on this gas one, Supreme Court had a committee. We were doing, our maps were far superior because I was directly getting them from the horse's mouth.
Right.
So the fact is, if you know the ecosystem, so you do internship with these organizations. Try do internship with Pollution Control Board also. Try do internship of maybe 2 weeks only with a tiger reserve. Write to the field director. That will sanitize you.
Internship is for students, but generally, even if you're a young lawyer, you can just go and say, I want to help.
Exactly. That's what
just
we
get
did.
inside. I want to help. Free
So
of cost.
Ramanuj has said a very important thing. One of the teaching of that my phantom senior is never ask for anything from anybody. Always say, I want to give you something. When you want to say, I want to give you something, like the Mahindra holidays or whatever, everybody stops and fills the form. Okay. So you have to say, I want to give you something. This giving mindset will also help you a lot. That's the second. The third most important factor is that a lot of people rush into public interest litigation, Ramanuj. That's not a great idea. As a law student, as a law intern, when I see you filing a public interest litigation, and a lot of judges have now come out very heavy on them. Don't take all these tricks. That won't help. This profession is very, very stitched together model.
So, but that also we have seen, like, sometimes you're encouraged, provided you do your proper groundwork, research.
So you do it. You do, if you really think that you want to jump start in that manner. Though I feel it's like, for me, it's like a child actor kind of situation for me.
No, but you take.
But if you want
seniors,
to do it, do it. But don't bank too much on it to kickstart your practice.
That is true.
Because the problem happens when you start thinking this will help you in a major way. It won't help you in a major way.
It's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience. If you want to do it, then do it for that purpose.
So very interesting. Like, generally, what we have seen is that some students who are filing cases would just go and like draft something 5-page application or a petition and go and file it. Now that does not work.
That does not
But
work.
somebody has put in the work.
So then it's fine.
Filed 15 RTIs. Have actually gone and taken
and then made a
photographs
petition
and made a real case out of it. Spoken to a few senior lawyers who also guide you. You're doing a genuine work, not just only publicity, right? So then everybody, I think, appreciates and helps you.
Correct.
But that is also, like, I think it's a good learning experience for them to go through the entire, going to seniors and getting some advice. And then people encourage also. If somebody comes to you and says that I'm trying to file this,
Right.
here is all the original research I have done. Can you guide me? You might also tell them, okay, aise kar lo. So that's what happens. So in the process, they end up networking with many lawyers, and then also court also encourage. I mean, that doesn't come up that, why are you doing this?
So one idea was for me also that all my other friends who are doing environmental law, they were mostly doing it for NGOs, or they were filing standalone public interest litigations with their own organizations which they had created. Somehow I found it somehow I had a feeling that only filing public interest litigation is not something which is going to inspire the future environmental lawyers. A public interest litigation has its purpose, and we will continue filing.
How did you actually move from
So that was a very difficult decision in 2009-10, because to create an entirely new identity that I don't want to do.
That you're a law firm now.
I am a law firm, and the moment you do that, even the NGOs don't feel very comfortable with you.
Yeah.
So you are switching
Because
your
now
entire.
you're going to like represent
them.
opponents.
One thing I was very clear that I'll never appear for a poacher. I never appeared for a poacher. I was very clear about it. But there I become an environmentalist. Okay. But what I always thought that this idea that if I am filing a petition in NGT on a particular agenda, that I'm representing a particular body which benefits out of it by putting me down, I never subscribe to that kind of petitions also, because ultimately that is developmental agenda we are coming to now. That is something which is not good for your country. So my public interest litigations were for the tiger. The kind of matters we were like road going through Corbett, whether it should be allowed or not allowed. It can't be allowed. It didn't get through. But if you say that whether flyovers should be allowed, when the tiger can cross through the migration, we always supported. Now Rohini, they are making the bridges in Rajaji. Rohini Nilkarni has said day before yesterday that the best forest has grown where the flyovers have come. Because animals are crossing very easily. No animal, human footprint is there. So the forest is glowing in those areas. Wow. So sometimes we learn with our resistance. One park in Bihar, the entire park was deserted by people, they were not paid salary. We just took an Indian Express article and filed it in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court protected their salary in 48 hours. We have such a robust system. Or even the RA matter which happened from Bombay, young law students filed it, very properly researched. The court intervened in them. So what I feel that's why my bigger push is today to say that environmental lawyering is not pro bono lawyering. Environmental lawyering is what Harish Salve did. Environmental lawyering is something which is much more mainstream now, and it will be further mainstream because it will be integrated with M&A advisory. It will be integrated with, if a company is being listed, if a company is being bought, then the entire checks and balances, when the groundwater has been eroded, When the last pollution control board issue has been seen, that will cut off date everything. Environmental lawyer alone will advise.
Right.
So this misconception we need to clarify.
So one major takeaway today for me from everything you have said is that environmental lawyering is not about only drafting legal documents,
Yes.
reading the case law by
Correct.
Supreme Court, or reading the acts and all of that.
Right.
There is an entire body of work, which is, you gave example of environmental assessment, impact assessment, then ESG reports, and there are all of these other different kind
So,
of things.
Ramaji, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, India's biggest infrastructure company, can't take their name, they are much in news. During the pandemic, when the coal blocks allocation was happening, we did an environmental due diligence of all the coal blocks areas where this was going to happen. Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Jharkhand. So there was a lockdown, and we had to do an environmental due diligence. What is the environmental due diligence? Somebody will ask whether this particular coal block is how far from the forest reserve, whether it is a class 2 forest or class 1 forest, whether it's a part of a tiger reserve or a wildlife sanctuary, whether it is a go area or no go area, because the company which wants to participate in this coal block wanted to be assured about it.
Yeah.
10 years back it was not happening. You created a plant in Odisha, you had no coal block allocation, you went to the Gram Sabha finally, and Gram Sabha said nothing doing, will not allow this. Supreme Court said jao ghar wapas, your money gone. So now people have become watchful. Now you are doing a due diligence at more than 60 places. Imagine the kind of money it would have got to us. So that is why they will come to an environmental law firm, because they know you will understand the wildlife part of it. You will understand the territory part of it. Maps are all oriental. You need to understand the difference between a Google map and a Forest Survey of India map. So that's why this all will develop very deep actually. The more and more infrastructure work will happen, Ramanuj, the more detailed evidence will be required. Because the government is now very clear that you take care of your investment today. If tomorrow a PIL will be there, we'll also hammer you. So that era has gone, which was 2014, pre-2014. Everything will land up in a motivated litigation in a particular court. That is gone now. So you will get opportunity which is beyond litigation. That's what I was saying.